So, good evening, everyone. This evening's session is called How to Find Your Ideal Clients, and it's in 5 easy steps. So, I'm going to make a start with step 1. We're going to be developing an ideal customer profile. They're called ICPs, so you can search them on the internet. There's loads of examples of how to do it, and some pretty clever people out there creating all sorts of stuff with regards to this ideal customer profile. But I always find the best thing to do is to build your own anyways, because it'll be tailored just for you. So this is step 1. So I know, Steph, you've done a lot of this, but this is a 5-step process. So perhaps you'd like to start again and run yourself through some of these questions. So step 1 is you taking a look at your existing customer base before starting creating your ideal customer profiles. So think of 5 or 10 of your best customers. Who would they be? So already you're saying, okay, I'm already working with 5 or 10 people. It's almost like Steffi said, she carries them in her mind. So in some ways, we're going to carry those, whether you put them in a notebook or on a piece of flip chart paper. Who are your best customers? Who would they be? Or if you're looking at targeting a new audience, again, pick out some names of people you know. Would they be one of your 5 or one of your 10 best customers? Who would they be? So if you're starting out and don't have a whole lot of customers, just think about who those potential customers might be that would most benefit from your product, and start thinking about who needs your product or service the most. Who are they? So hopefully you've got lots of customers who love your brand, but narrow it down to around 10 existing customers. So I'd like you now to make a note of 5 or 10 of your existing customers. Who are they? Okay. So take a few minutes to note down 5 or 10 of your best customers. And then after you've jotted down their names, start thinking about them as a person, and start thinking about what value is it that they get out of your product? What is it that they're getting out of what you do? What are they getting? Because it might not be something that you're actually selling. What's their value that they get out of what you do? So say, for example, I'm just going to do this hypothetically, Steffi, but say, for example, if you were just putting out there, you were a brand photographer, but you didn't actually sell within your messages how much more confident people will feel working with you in front of the camera. It's almost like as though you'd be missing something, because they get so much value from working with a photographer like you, who can make them feel good in front of the camera. So it's going above and beyond the product. What is the value that they're getting from you? And think of it in terms of how that impacts on their bottom line directly. So how is it what you do actually impacts on their bottom line? So that, say, for example, now going back to Steffi as a photographer, they're going to be paying, say, for example, for a photo shoot, 1.5, 2, 3,000, whatever it costs for their particular photo shoot. Steffi should know how that photo shoot translates across all their marketing activities and what the uplift in their business potentially could be because they're working with Steffi. So do you know, if people do blah, blah with you, what is it that's going to impact on their bottom line directly? And that could be health, because when we start looking at story branding and developing these threads of storylines that we put up in our marketing, the customer has got to see the impact of something happening in advance. They'll say, well, say, for example, with Yvonne, yeah? Can you imagine Yvonne putting out some marketing saying, oh, you're overweight, take C9. All people are hearing is overweight and C9, yeah, as opposed to thinking about what C9 can actually do as far as weight loss in their life and how we can transform their lives by taking C9. So I'd like you to start thinking about the value that you bring to their bottom line, and start thinking about the pain points that they already have that you could be resolving. And start thinking about this, you know, you're going to be helping them to increase productivity or help them achieve their objectives. So there's quite a lot on that line there, okay? We're looking at, okay, when it comes to these best customers you've got, your typical customers that you love working with and they love working with you, okay, what is it that they get in terms of value from you that impacts on their bottom line? What are the pain points that they're feeling that you can connect with and solve? How can what you do increase their productivity and help them achieve their objectives? So we're really getting to know, you know, about your best customers. Because if you're going for similar sorts of customers, your similar sorts of customers are going to have similar issues. So what we want to do is to find out how your product and service contributes to their overall success. So we're working with your existing customers to find this out. So we want to know which accounts or which people are you working with that you're working with in the most profitable way. And it's not only in terms of money, but what are the people that you get the best results with? Who are they? Who's been with you the longest? Yeah. Who's the longest customer you've ever worked with? Because they've probably spent quite a bit of money with you. Lorna's just coming in now. So start thinking about then this price. Is the price that you're charging reflecting what they actually get out of it? So I'd like some feedback then. Can you give me some feedback on where you're at with this? So Louise, can we come to you? Can you think of 5 to 10 of your best customers?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can think of who they are as people. They're all very, very different actually. But what makes them similar, I suppose, is that a lot of them are not able to work to their full capacity because they're currently going through depression, burnout, physical burnout. So the effect I suppose I'm having on their bottom line is that by healing them, they're then able to have improved self-esteem, improved self-worth, remembering who they were before the burnout. And as a result of that, and I'm seeing it with somebody at the moment, actually, I'm seeing their light return. I know that sounds very fluffy, but as they're returning back to themselves, they're now earning again. And they've said, without this, I wouldn't have been earning, Leo. I would have been on antidepressants and sitting in a box somewhere.
Right.
So I can certainly see that the impact of what I've done. As to my price point, I'm still working on that.
So I'd like to ask a question. When you're marketing to this sector of the public, have you ever thought of included in the message the fact that by working with you, you were going to speed up the process of getting them back to work and being more productive?
No, I haven't, but it's given me huge food for thought and content actually for my website, which I'm still developing, is to maybe get that message into the website somewhere.
And so when people give you feedback, what kind of words are they using about the value that, because, you know, you've got case studies, yeah?
Yes, of course, yeah.
So when it comes to your case studies, What are people then saying about you as far in terms of the real value they had from working with you?
So I get comments like, "You've given me my life back."
Okay, that's the value.
I've become better in relationships. My relationships are improving as a result of me improving. So that's huge.
Yeah,
I get that a lot, that they've got more clarity in relation to their issues so they can see above where they've been.
yeah,
I get that they've now got more direction. They know where they're heading, whereas previously they were stuck.
yeah.
And just a healing space for them to work through their issues and resolve them so that they can return back to their original selves, I suppose.
And who of your clients have been the most profitable in terms of outcomes of working with you?
The ones who've been most profitable are the ones that do a 6-month program with me, without a doubt. It's the ones that truly invest in and the recognition themselves that one treatment isn't going to cure anything.
Yeah.
Whereas a course of 6 treatments with all the care in between will give them a much better result and last long term rather than quick fix.
Okay, so what is that informing you of then, as far as
Yeah, it's informing me that packages are the way forward. It's as simple as that. Packages have become where I need to be on that profitability grid, and the one-to-one sort of, plaster therapies, as I call them, where people come for one therapies and expect to feel, you know, complete again, just don't work. So I'm no longer marketing in that way anymore. So I'm even marketing them as packages. I don't offer single therapies anymore.
right? Perfect. That's exactly, you're doing exactly the right thing.
Thank you. That's because of you, that is. I'm learning. I'm taking it all on board every week.
And so for me, when I'm working with people, what I like to do is to get people to put their products on a cash flow. Yeah. Because things are so expensive to market just one-off things, it's too expensive to market them. And it's almost like you won't get your money back because all your money is going into constant marketing, as opposed to selling something that's credible and that has enough profit within it long term in order then to sustain your business moving forward. Yeah. So already you're getting a feel for the kind of products you should be developing. But it's great to go into those customer testimonials to really get to grips with what is the true value your customers get out of working with you. What is that true value? And write it down, yeah, because you can use all of that in stage 2 in marketing to this particular audience. So say, for example, it was really interesting last week because Beth Price was saying, Cheryl, people know you. You are kick-ass Beth. You don't take any nonsense. You're not going to waste time with people. You're just going to say it as it is. And I'm thinking, oh, I'd never thought of putting that in marketing terms to people, kick-ass fast. Yeah. I want to make sure you get your stuff done. Yeah. So again, I hadn't picked that up as a value, and it needs to be a value. So I'd like you all at this stage to have done this exercise because we're moving on to step 2. Is everyone okay with this first step? Yeah. All done, Oksana? Yeah. So I'm going to move you on. So moving on to the next step. So when we start looking at our attributes, step 2 of these best customers, next to each one list all the notable attributes about them. For example, what industry are they in, or genre? What type of sector do they fit in? And it could be multiples, or it could be you recognize there is a particular kind of industry they're in, or you've recognized there are segments of industries that these people sit in. I'd like you to know about the geography. And does your service translate to being online, or is it in-person service? Which one is it, in-person or online? How many people surround them, whether it's people they employ, and how many customers do they have? And this is an important one. What's their budget? it's pointless doing anything if people don't have a budget for it. So I was coaching somebody the night before last, and that if you were to work with this person, you'd need quite a sizable budget. But she never gets down to asking, what's your budget? And who holds the budget? Do we need to speak to the person that holds the budget? And if it's a large cost item, thinking through how will they pay? So there's a whole piece of work there around budget. So I'd like you to think about this budget around people. So I'm going to come to you, Steffi, because when people organize a photo shoot with you, obviously, you know, it is budget sensitive. So how do you work your way around that?
If there is really like, oh God, I can't. For example, I've just offered taster sessions where they can dip into it for a fraction of the price. They get a lot less, but they can get a feel of, is this what they're going to aim for at some point, for example. But I don't do that very often because I know where I want to go with the business. Now and then, yes, it works, but I've turned customers away who said, no, it's not feasible and I can't do it because, you know, they would not fit into my clientele anyway in the form where I want to go with my business.
But what about that? Because a photo shoot costs, I'm just going to say broad figure, say £2,000.
Mm-hmm.
How do you check they've got that budget before moving forward with them?
Most of my clients, I've got a relationship beforehand anyway. So I follow their social media. I see them on Facebook and see what they do on the weekend and at home, where they shop, what they eat. So you get a feel of that anyway when you get to know them, or they tell their stories of where they've just been, you know.
So I'd like you all to think about, you know, what kind of budget will people need in order to work with you? And where will this budget come from? And how will you help them budget in order to work with you? So when I come to you, Lorna, because you've got a high-end product, how do you, you know, dance around the budget issue of how much it's going to cost, and do they have a budget for it?
Oh, it's a real mixed bag for me. Real mixed bag. I genuinely think a lot of clients who come in for what we do don't realize what they're going to end up spending. And it's a tricky one, actually, because I know that our clients are going to spend £1,000 on their mermaid package, shall we say, collection. If I put that out there to qualify that at the start, people will run. People will run. Once they've had the experience, the desire is there even more. They see the finished products and they find the money. And it's so, it's I don't know whether it's not the norm, but it's a very different route. Now, you know, we always qualify that our, you know, some of our pricing at the start. So I don't have people come in, clients book in who have got no idea what the cost is going to be. But honestly, over the years, I've seen so many people coming in and you'd think, oh, they're not going to spend £1,000, £2,000, but they do, because you create the desire and they have to have it. But it's, yeah, it's a tricky, if that makes sense.
It can already you work through the kind of, I suppose industry isn't the right word, the kind of genre your potential customers come from? What kind of genres or backgrounds are your customers coming from?
again, you know, a mixed bag. We do identify that our client avatar is usually female, between 34 and 54 years old. They are usually a professional woman who handles their own budget, and it's usually a, you know, female who will book with us. That's our client. So they could be a dance mum or an alpha mum who either want their children to have a sitting with us because they perceive it to be something unique or something that is good, or they want it for themselves. So that's our client, you know, client avatar. Sorry, I'm trying to play catch up very quickly because I've just walked straight in on this and my brain is scrambled.
Yes, so start thinking about the kind of background people are coming from. Yeah. And it could be even, you know, the kind of salary they earn or the kind of household budget they have. You know, it's so important to understand the geography. And yeah, just thinking through things like what car might they drive, what newspapers do they read, what kind of clothes do they wear, even what their budget for clothing is. So what is their spare cash? What is the spare cash if they pay?
Yeah, so, Cheryl, I've seen a nan turn up in a beaten up rusty old Mini and spend £3,000 on art, and I've seen somebody totter in designer heels, and they are so up to here with credit cards they can't afford it. They just want to be seen to have come in, so they get their one photo that they can put on social media. And you know, I see the silver pound make things happen so much in my business, where it's a working family, money is tight, but nan and gramps and granda, they all get together and they make it happen. So quite often when we're selling, we're actually selling to grandparents as well. It's an unusual one.
Can I say something to that, Lorna, please, if that's okay?
Yeah,
I have been to so many events lately, and the people I would have never expected it from sitting around me were the normal girl next door, dressed as a girl next door, and they had the most money out of all of them. Where all the flashy ones with all the flash bling bling were all the ones that didn't, because the richer people, they don't spend their money on the things that don't mean anything. They spend their money on investment, property, everything long-term, longevity, is that what it's called? It was so interesting for me to see that pattern on so many events where you sit next to somebody and all of a sudden somebody goes, oh, she's a multimillionaire. And you go, huh? Really? It's so surprising because they don't spend.
Yeah. My friend runs a dance school in the Valleys, and you think to yourself, gosh, you know, and she said to me, do you know what? Where I am, she said, everybody is so cash rich because they're not paying city prices for everything. They go to the cities to work and then they come back home and they're mortgage free. And, you know, I mean, obviously it's a very general thing to say, but again, it's, I never judge a book by a cover. Over the years, I've learned that every single person who comes in through the door, it doesn't matter what they're wearing, what they're driving, they will find, you know, they will find that spend if they really want what you're offering.
Right, ladies, I'm going to move us on to the next slide. Right, and I think I can't get this out of the way. Let's move this out of the way. Move on to the next slide. So number 3, interview them. Yeah, get your customers together. So your customers will answer some questions about the experience they have with you. And some information I found yesterday that 86% of people will spend more with you if you give them a better brand experience. So, you know, going back to what Lorna says, you know, right, it's so hard because it's almost like when people get the experience of being so looked after by you, they will spend more. So 86% of people will spend more if they get a better experience with you. So I would say don't be too price sensitive, yeah, because it's more about how you treat people, the value they get back, the results you have. So it's all about, you know, how can you make it happen in their lives for them, because they will pay more the better the experience. So you can email people, but I've always found it's best to eyeball offer, you know, coffee, cakes, or come round for a bacon butty or whatever. But get yourself in front of people. These people love you anyway. They're doing business with you. So why not ask them? You know, and the typical question, how did they hear about you? Yeah, because that's how they're finding you. So do you ask that question, you know, how did you find me? Yeah. And what was the buying process? What process did they go through in order to purchase from you? And who was the decision maker for this product? Because with Lorna, you might think, well, it's the kids, it's the mothers, perhaps it's the grandparents, yeah? Or perhaps it's somebody's buying it. Can somebody buy what it is you're doing for somebody else? So is it a gift voucher? And perhaps the person is different. And start thinking about their objectives. What was their objectives when they met you? What was that all about? So has anyone ever interviewed their clients to find out what they got from you? Anyone?
Mm-mm.
No? So
Yes, I do go back to customers, and I ask them about their experience, what they've liked, always gathering testimonials, incentivizing them for talking to me as well, and always incentivizing them for referrals.
spot on. That is so spot on. I worked with a debt collection company, and their only marketing strategy was interviewing their customers after they'd done a piece of work with them. That was the only way they marketed. No social media, no letters, no nothing, other than a follow-up interview after they'd done a piece of work with somebody. Because after all, to them, they could ask, what is the next project you're working on? Do you have any further outstanding debts? What are the companies that are you working with that might have the same problems as you? And that's all they did was have a feedback form after they did a bit of work for somebody. So again, this technique is amazing. Just interviewing your clients to find out, you know, why they do business with you. What do they love about doing business with you? And what other feedback can they give you? You know, a lot of my ideas comes from you guys, yeah? So, for example, Karen gave us the idea of running this evening, and Yvonne wants us to do, you know, catch-up calls, a catch-up sort of accountability call after the events on a Wednesday night. Well, who knows? That might be something that people, you know, want to have as part of I Am Woman. But it didn't come from me. It came from Yvonne and it came from Karen. Yeah. So again, it is about responding to what your customers want, need, interviewing them. So, so can you tell me perhaps how you might take this forward? So Yvonne, in your experience then of interviewing people, how does it go? How do you create the connection?
If I'm dropping a product off, I'll talk to them then and ask them just for a little review, and then I will have a little goodie bag and say, okay, you know, thank you for your feedback. Now choose which of these little gifts you would like.
Fantastic.
If they're not local, then I would arrange a phone call or a WhatsApp call or a little Zoom call.
And it's not that difficult, is it?
No.
Okay, what do you do with the data after the interview?
The data goes on my marketing so that I can say, you know, this is the feedback we've had on this product. So when that product of the month crops up, I've got some feedback from previous customers and their testimonials of it, because I think that helps to promote a product. I can share the benefits, but if you've got those little quotes from customers in there as well, that really helps. And so those go into my newsletter that goes out as well.
Thank you. Thank you for
Mm.
sharing, Yvonne. And I'm going to move on to the next one. Let's go slide. Okay. So number 4, gather together your data and fill in your template. So saying now that you've narrowed down your top customers, you've listed all their attributes of what makes them the best and interviewed them to get the full story. We're going to be organizing your findings in one universal document. This will be your ICP, and I've got one here to show you, but it'd be great if you could develop your own. So Yvonne, can you show us yours? How do you compile all this information? You've got like a table you use? You're on mute, Yvonne.
I'm on mute. I have shared it into the chat box, but basically mine is just their name, their address, telephone number, emails, what their occupation is, and then a little bit about them. You know, are they married? Do they have a partner? Do they live on their own? What age group do they fall into? Do they have children? Do I know at what ages their children are? What the names of all their family are? What is their hot button? So what is it that they want from me? So are these people looking for a business opportunity? Are they looking for weight loss? What is it? Well, you know, what is their pain point, I suppose, is their hot button. And then I have an objective then of what I'm hoping to get from the call, whether it's to upsell or to sell a repeat or to get some feedback and offer a little incentive. And then I have little tick boxes about their personality. So you can match that, because you can say, you know, like the tick boxes are, I've got self-employed, open-minded, dissatisfied, caring, people person, professional, ambitious, confident, local. And I can match then what I'm offering, having filled out that profile. And underneath that profile, then there is room to put all of the notes. So I'll put the date and what we discussed. And then when I pick this up again, because they're in my 1 to 31 folder. So when I pick it up then and I look at it, I know exactly what we talked about before, and you can pick up the conversation. Because I would never remember if it wasn't written down.
When it came to the debt collector, guys, yeah, step 4, this is where they picked up all their repeat business. This is where they got all the repeat business. So you can imagine them sat in front of you asking, you know, how did the project go? Were you happy with the debt that we collected for you? How do you think we could work closer together in the future? Do you have any current debt that needs to be collected for you? And I would say after step 4, they're going away with their next piece of work. So, you know, it's almost like marketing via data collection. And they would be saying, you know, who else do you know? What other customers do you know who have similar problems to yourself? What are their pain points? They know after doing this feedback sheet, even what the company's objectives were, how the industry was changing, if they were going to be taking on any new recruits, how they were developing. They would know everything by doing this feedback form. So you can imagine it was so easy to convert that feedback into another session where they actually start talking about what's their budget for working together moving forward. The problem is, because I know, Karen, you were moving from one collection of people going to a lot higher price point. So I'm going to come to Lorna for this, because Lorna can, you know, Lorna, you move from one product at one price, and then you've got products that are a lot higher value price. So Lorna, how do you manage that when you're going in perhaps with a perception of one price, but really, you know, going to a lot higher price point? What advice would you give Karen?
I was in a photographic group the other day talking about pricing, and for me it's very simple. I sell what I love. So our top product is exposed to our client during the shoot, and I'm practically like a game show hostess, draping myself over it. I stroke it, and I'm kind of being jocular, but I'm actually quite serious about this as well, because I believe so much in this particular product. It's the most expensive piece of art that we do, but because I love it so much, I sell it. And the other thing is that it sits in a collection that I also believe is amazing value. And because I believe that, I sell it. So I don't know whether that is some great pearl of wisdom for anybody out there, but I have spent time really thinking about this, because somebody could come to us for a photo shoot and walk away with a £75 print. That door is open to everybody who comes into us. It doesn't happen. And so I've thought about it. I thought, why are we selling the higher collections? And it's because we believe in them and we love them.
Yeah. And they are rather amazing.
Is that my performance, draping myself over my framed art?
But I think that's, I mean, the art is amazing itself. I mean, it's just stunning, and you can see why you got the awards and everything.
Thank you. I think as well, touching on, what Cheryl said, though, it's making it an amazing experience, but feeling it from here, and that customer service, which comes naturally to us. We're not perfect, but our customers feel the love. And I don't mean that to be cheesy. I mean it sincerely.
Yeah.
And these things add up. They really do add up to that sale.
Yeah. I mean, I think the program I'm creating is probably the best thing I've created, and I love it to pieces because I know the impact it's going to have on people. And it just gives me goosebumps when I think about what's going to be happening this time next year, because it's a 12-month program and because there's so much in it, and you get so much support because that's what I do. I do a weekly call already, and people get so much of it because it's just like, okay, randomly, what do you want to do? What do you want to cover this week? This is what I want to cover. Now, what do you want me to cover for you? And we've just gone on so many different tangents, which is usually why I'm always late, because we've gone on a different tangent and it's totally unexpected, but that's the fun of it. And I just love teaching, and there's so much training involved with what we do. But yeah, it's like going on a different journey.
So after you've done all this, you can then start developing your products from it. Yeah. So once you've realized what you love about your products, what your customers love about your products, you can start developing products that reflects that. So just as Louise was saying, the product that she feels has the most impact is not the one-off products. It's the working with somebody for 6 months. Yeah. Well, that should be a key product. Yeah. And again, I was working with somebody this morning who's got a fantastic product that she loves, but she doesn't market it because it's not on her website. Yeah. And just sell it. Yeah. And get it up on your website straight away. Why are you lagging behind in getting the product you love and the product that has the most impact? Why haven't you got it on your website? Why are you hiding it? And she also said, and the clients themselves, when they went through this product, earned X amount more on their bottom line. Why aren't you telling people that, isn't it? Why are we hiding all this amazing information? Yeah. Just like I said to Yvonne, I think Andrew, my husband, should be a great ambassador for her because he lost all the weight and he's kept it off. Those are the great ambassadors, aren't they? He loves Yvonne's product. Yeah. And now we've moved on to the deodorant, we've moved on to the sun oil, you know, we'll never buy anything than Forever toothpaste. Yeah. We just love the products here. And so, you know, once you start getting to grips, you know, with profiling your clients, you'll have a better idea how to market to them. So it's no point Louise jumping onto social media. Yeah, that's not how her clients buy. So don't feel pressurized to channel everything through social media, because it's not Louise and it's not how her clients respond to her. So work with what works. Yeah, don't feel you've got to push, you know, something uphill. You don't have to do it. Do it the way you know it works. And once you start getting put right, selling is just so much easier. It is just so much easier. And, you know, just like, you know, Lorna said, she knows how these really expensive pieces sell. Yeah. It's not going to be an advert on Facebook. Yeah. It's going to be Lorna doing the draping herself over it in front of people. That's what's going to sell the big pieces. So it's not being disappointed that if Lorna draped herself over something on Facebook, it didn't sell. Yeah. It's the fact that they don't sell that way. Yeah. They do not sell that way. So it's really important for you to understand, number one, what are the attributes of this client? How do they buy? And the rest of it is just, it's almost like pulling the two together. It's almost like, you know, the customer is the hand and your marketing is a glove, and the glove needs to fit over this hand perfectly in order then for selling to happen, sales to happen, and for your business to be a success. Because it's pointless you creating products that nobody's interested in. They're not targeted at a particular client, and you're marketing all the wrong way. So I've got an example here of an ideal customer profile. Yeah, but I think it's a lot easier if you build your own, because it'll, you know, all your touch points with people need to be a section on your customer profile. So I would say develop your own based on what it is that you've discovered. So I'd like to run back with you just for us to be clear. So step one is make a list of your best customers and map out the value that they get from working with you. Yeah. What are the most profitable customers? Who stays with you the longest? And who almost profits most from what you do? So just like Louise recognized, you know, when she works on a 6-month program with somebody, she's getting them back to work. They're earning money faster. But again, perhaps she's never marketed that. So what is it that you're doing that affects people's bottom line? Okay. And then point 2, list the attributes of your ideal customers. Try and get as much information out of your analysis that you can. Even down to, you know, newspapers, all sorts of stuff. Interview them and really get to grips with why they love you. What is it they get out of working with you? Because they're going to be giving you your future strap lines and marketing stories. And pull it all together and fill in a template, because you're going to meet somebody, and because you filled in this template, just having the discipline of running the template, you'll meet somebody and you think they're not my customer profile. There's something about it, you think they're not my customer profile. So it could be with Louise. They'd say to Louise, well, Louise, I've heard such good things about you. I'd like to book a session with you because, you know, I'm really depressed. And I really need to get back to work in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, it's not Louise's customer. Yeah, and they're going to put Louise under such pressure, they just don't fit the mold. Yeah, so you'll start weeding people out and start thinking about how, when you get all this data together, how is it going to inform your products, your marketing, and how you sell. So I've come to the end of my presentation this evening. So I'd like to learn from you what you've got out of this evening's session. So Steffi, I know you've done a lot of profiling. I love your little doggy. Oh,
She's old now. Cheryl, she won't be doing great for much longer. So, yeah.
So tell us, Steffi, what have you got out of this evening for you? I know you've done a lot of this in the past, but what have been the light bulbs for you this evening?
For me, ideal client work is most important for running a business, because otherwise you don't know who to target or where to target them. You will just spread yourself too thin everywhere, and always wait for people to come to you. I think that's what happened to me at the very beginning. It's almost like you put it there, and go like, oh, hopefully I get a customer out of this. Where if you target where they are, it's a lot easier, you know. So for me, it definitely listening to everyone else when they say, oh, I have to work on that. Yes, I think that is definitely what you need to be doing, is narrow down who you want to work with to a T. Just make her up. She's a fictional character. But once you have her or him, you really know where to go.
Thank you for sharing, Steffi. Thank you. I'm going to come to you, Yvonne. What have you learned this evening from us looking at this ideal customer profile?
I didn't realise my profile sheet was an ICP, so that's good. For me, I think it's about perhaps making more use of that to actually analyse if there's a trend across the people I work with, to see if there is a profile. I mean, there doesn't seem an obvious one. My clients run from their 20s up to their 80s, and they're men, women, all sorts of different people. But it will be worth me reviewing those just to see, out of the people who are the best customers, if there is something underlying there that brings them all together.
Thank you. Coming to you, Oksana, what have you learned this evening from this ideal customer profile? What have you discovered? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to go back right to the beginning, to be honest. I would like to just scrape it all and just go back and just start again. And like what we discussed the other day with the brand story, and really getting the customer profile underway and writing it down and just putting my focus onto that. I think I need to do that, because at the moment it's just, well, it has been a little bit messy. I'm just, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I will target this, I will target that. I will be about this because I like all of this. But I think I need to scrape it and just go, just once around this retreat, I think I'm just gonna have to just stop for a bit, just run small events and just really go back to the basics and just sit down and just focus on those, well, 3 things that we talked about, including this.
And it's quite interesting because a lot of people think that developing a brand and getting this stuff right can be done straight away. It takes months and months and months, and to some degree years. Like Louise, you've been doing it for years, haven't you? And just now, you know, you've done it for 20 years and now you're going through a rebranding. So what advice would you give, Oksana, because you're in the same industry?
Yeah, I think Oksana, you're right. You're in a prime position really, because you're just coming in to this space. That learning all this now is just brilliant. I wish I could learn this 20 years ago.
I've been in this space for a while. I've just been messing about, I think. I've just been messing about, and I've never ever actually given it time and thought, you know, the way that I should have. I mean, I have here and there, but not where I specifically sat down and focused, because every time I tried, I just couldn't figure it out. And then I give up, and then I just continue doing what I'm doing, you know. And maybe it's a hit sometimes it's a miss, you know. Sometimes it's just in terms of getting the target, you know, audience kind of people that come, and people come, they'll find you and they get great results and you feel happy and you think, oh, that's it, maybe that's it, and then there's nothing, you know. And it's inconsistent, and it has to be consistent.
So I think there's a piece there about you understanding your customer's journey.
Yeah.
Are you just selling one-off pieces? Like Louise said, it's more profitable for her to do a 6-month program with somebody rather than marketing just one-off pieces, because it's expensive to do that. So perhaps it's really thinking through the process of working with people for you to achieve the best results, working with them and them getting the best results of working with you. Because in a way, Karen knows that, she has a process by which people publish a book. It's not just a quick fix. It's not just a one-off thing. Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
So it's really being bold enough to say, for you to almost like set the parameters of, like Louise has just discovered, it's a 6-month program, because that will have the better results. So we can review that next time, Oksana, when we chat. We're going to come to Louise now. So Louise, what have you learned from this evening?
Yeah, so I always learn loads, and I always write 50,000 pages every time. So what I've learned from tonight, which was a real joy for me, is that firstly, I didn't know it's called relationship marketing, and I think I'm good at that. And I think that's why I've survived for 20 years. This year for me now is about becoming visible, which is my Achilles heel, and the marketing side of things, and now being visible in the audience of the 6-month program. So I think for me, what I liked about it as well is that you were so right that my clients aren't on social media, and I've been ice skating uphill with that for such a long time, and just focusing on the wrong area and thinking, I've got to do Instagram, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And actually that's not where any of my customers are. They're not. They are, what I've realized as well is that I've always taken testimonials, and one of my biggest testimonials I haven't got, and it's from someone I've been treating for a year actually. And she said, she'll often say to me, Lou, you changed my life. I couldn't walk last year. Not only am I walking, but my mental health has improved. I'm back in work. She's earning a fortune because she now can, and that's a real success for me. But what I need to do is to contact her again and just say, now, can I have a testimonial, please? Because that's where I'm going to see the nuggets and then be able to formulate the marketing better in my head. So I've learned loads.
And when you think of it, how much did she invest with you over a year? How much did it cost?
So we started off on a cheaper program of 860 for 6 months.
Yeah.
And it was her idea, it was her suggestion. Should you need to charge a minimum of 860, because I do 2-hour appointments once a month with breakthrough appointments in between. So when people hit an emotional wall, I'll always be available, and that's part of my promise. But she's the marketer herself and said, you need to now move this up to 1,200 and just go up again and put it now to 1,200 for 6 months. And when I think of the work I put in over that 6 months, that's still cheap. So I'm slowly getting there. It's what I now realize is I don't know how to access those customers. And that's my Achilles heel now, is going, I know this is my money. I know that's what I need to come in. And I've projected that in terms of, I've seen what that looks like and how many patients per month I would need to hit the target of what I want. It's just now how I find them. That's the Achilles heel really, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. So when you think of it, even if she spent with you, say for example, hypothetically, £5,000 in a year, you got her walking again and back to work, earning a salary. How much was her salary in a year that she went back to?
Oh, huge. She's earning a fortune, honestly, because I've given her, we worked on her confidence and self-esteem as well, and it's shot through the roof. And she's like, Lou, I'm flying. I'm literally earning a fortune thanks to you, which is brilliant.
What is the number? Do you know what the number is?
She's earning about 120 grand now.
Okay, so she invested 5 and she got 120 grand out.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah. So it's
and this is what I need to think of, because at the moment I'm still stuck on 860, moving into the 1,200 bracket.
Yeah.
But when I consider how much her life has changed physically, mentally, and emotionally, as you say, and she's now earning 120 grand, there's an element of me that goes, why can't I earn that?
But you can. And when
Yes. Yeah.
when I was mentoring people for grants, generally a grant application would take 6 months to a year. The most they would pay me would be about £6,000 to £8,000, but I would be getting £500,000 for them.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of you thinking, hang on, I should be telling people this. They invest
Yes.
this with me and they get that out. Yeah, we
Yeah.
get to do that. So say, for example, with Karen, she helps people write a book. Yeah. Was her new program, even if it is 10 grand, yeah, it's what is the potential of that book. Yeah. Invest this and you get this.
Yeah.
Even if people invest all their life savings in a buy-to-let, they're only getting a 7% return. You're giving a lot more than 7% return. Yeah.
I think what this has made me realise, I'm not good at shouting about it.
Yeah.
And the more I attend these, the more I realise that's my Achilles heel. Like Steffi's just put a gorgeous comment in the chat, which is lovely. Thank you, Steffi. I'm not good at doing that. I'm not good at saying, by the way, this is what I've done. It takes someone like Steffi to come in and go, oh, that's what Lou's done. I can read that, but I can't say it myself. So that's something else I need to work on.
And
I was ready to divorce him before I even marry him, honestly, until you came and literally changed his well-being. Crazy.
Brilliant.
so you've got to get all those testimonials and market.
Yeah.
Lovely. I'm going to come
Thank
to
you.
Karen. So what have you learned this evening, Karen?
I've underpriced it, even though I think it's expensive. I've underpriced it. I think most thing I need to do is interview people. So what I'm going to do is send out a sort of 3-letter email, see who actually still wants to publish a book, and sit down and talk to them, see what it is they need, and see because I've got such a range of products to help people, see who fits where, but also update my CRM to have the ideal client around their details, to map it out and have it so that I know who is that ideal client and who isn't, and just have them as a list of, tagged as my ideal client in a group, that I know who to talk to and who to target a bit more effectively. But it's what you say, it's about building up the relationships. And I built up some really good relationships with the people I work with. It's just building relationships with people who would be my ideal client, but I haven't met yet. So I need to sort of be more focused in getting to know more people and just get out there and network, because I think I'm my best salesperson rather than social media. Social media will get me visible in some respects and widen my network. But getting out there and actually meeting people is what I do best.
And it was so interesting because I was working with somebody on Monday night who you probably will have twigged who they are, because there's certain things you're going to see them on next Wednesday evening. And this is a lady who's done so well. She came to Iron Woman as a startup 8 years ago. She went from startup to multi-million PLC, and very much like Louise was thinking, oh, but I'm not really selling, because she's doing relationship marketing, but she's doing relationship marketing so successfully. Yeah. Almost like as though she felt she was missing something.
I think that's the thing, because a lot of people started coming to me purely from word of mouth. You sort of get told that you need to fill all these different funnels, and but it is, a lot of people just find me through word of mouth or the Publish a Book in 5 Days challenge, and then tell their friends from that. So it's just looking at what works and just doing more of it. But yeah, I need to reprice again, because it's like at least 10 grand. It's like, no, it wasn't 10 grand, but obviously it must be more than that.
So it is relationship marketing. It does work, and it's one of the most powerful techniques in marketing. So perhaps we'll do a session on that in the future. So coming to you, Lorna, I know you came in late, but hopefully we've given you some little gems of learning. So what light bulbs did we switch on with you this evening?
think it's a reminder to go after the testimonial, actually, more than anything else, because we've had some amazing feedback recently, particularly with our teenage clients who I'd underestimated how much teenagers had suffered over the last few years and are now in effect suffering from lack of confidence and anxiety issues. And I'm hearing it almost on a weekly basis. And we are seeing such remarkable results. And I'm a photographer, I'm not trained in these things, but we're seeing such wonderful boosts in confidence. And sorry, my internet is unstable again. That I need to capture that, I think, and capture the essence of it. We don't want to pretend to be wonder workers, but that's something I think I'm going to go away from today and do a little bit of work on.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Well, it's been a great session looking at profiling this ideal client. So thank you, Karen, for sharing with us that subject theme. Next week, we have a live event, as you know. We're in the Miskin Manor. We've got Sarah Ty coming over from Swindon, who is the best when it comes to PR and marketing. And she's going to show you how to do your own PR and marketing. And she'll be delighted that you're already working on this customer profile, because, she puts people in a corner, you've got to get it done. And we've got Sarah Boltman coming, showing you how to work with data. And I'm going to be doing a session on the whole branding theme. So it's going to be a great night. It's just lovely to get together and see people and catch up and just have those conversations. So that's next Wednesday. And then, of course, the following Wednesday, we're looking at all the marketing activity that then happens once we've got our customer profile in place. So thank you, everyone, for being so generous with your time, ideas, experiences. I think we've all learned lots. I know some people want to stay online because we're going to be doing an accountability session with one another on goal setting. So if you need some help and you need accountability by somebody, just stay online after I've switched the recording off. And for those of you who don't want to stay around for accountability, I'm going to wave good night to you and thank you all for turning up this evening, and good luck moving forward with your customer profiling. So good night, everyone. I'm going to switch off the recording. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye.